Hello and welcome to IMP's AEW Adventures podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Help the network out by leaving us a 5-star review, give a donation directly through Red Circle, and become one of the amazing community by joining the Social Suplex Discord. Link is in the description. Order merch from all our shows over at chopped-tees.com. Thank you to Dickie. Read the Social Suplex newsletter. Shout out to Trish and Tim as always, and to every person who's contributed so far. Listen to the other top-notch shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, Keeping It Strong Style, All Things Elite, Wrestling Art with Biz Things, Trish and Sarah, Tunnel Talk, and Sam Brown's AEW Match Guide. My name is Matt Mayer, aka Imp, and this is your quick look back at the AEW week that was. 30 minutes of non-unionised venue staff of the 2-300 former ECW arena, filmed a lot like the ECW setup with the same entranceway, camera position, commentary, Tony Khan and many of the wrestlers living out a mini dream here. WWE ran the same place for NXT on their first Netflix week back in January, and they went with the standard stage setup. This felt so different. They had the big stage and then they walk out into the ring and the crowd's kind of there around it a bit, whilst this went more with the classic ECW setup. WWE ran the venue, but it didn't feel like the venue in any way, whilst AEW, they were trying to do a love letter to wrestling. It's one of the things that's love about AEW. They don't mind doing this smaller crowd, because that doesn't matter, because it's a love letter to wrestling. When you watch the shows, it just feels like that as you're going through it. But we are going to be spending our little stay here for a little while in this venue. So Philadelphia, Pennsylvania will temporarily become the home of all elite wrestling. And this week for Ring of Honor's latest show. So this week I will be talking about Dynamite, Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, and Collision. I'm not going to include Ring of Honor as like a normal weekly thing, but maybe when there's a special or something, because I've got the time, and I've got the mental space for it as well. Even after watching these 3 wrestling shows, by the time I finished Collision, I was like, yep, I'm hyped and I'm excited for Dynamite. So good job to everybody when that's my leaving feeling. So anyway, let's jump on over to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for Dynamite, and starting off in a very kind of ECW way of a tag team coming out, just shouting at the crowd, getting them all angry. Let's jump on over to the opening act of FTR.
You're all a bunch of sickos, fine. And that bitch is dead.
Dax and Cash opened the show blaming the referee for their Forbidden Door loss, setting up Adam and Christian's interruption. Copeland sold it really well when Christian wasn't there next to him, the man doing his own thing and using his former old bestie as a distraction to make the jump. Really like that they're doing that with his character, that he's not just suddenly become a hero babyface guy who's going to be respected like Adam Copeland is. Like, no, he's the same dickhead. He's the same arsehole. I like that they're leaning into that. Reminding us that Christian had promised to help deal with the FTR problem after they dealt with the Wayne problem. And I really liked how Adam got the crowd to be the ones calling for the your dad is dead bit. As in, you ECW, you Philadelphians, you real sickos you are, and then got the pop to let him do the your dad is dead bit. I felt like perfect crowd leading to it with that. Perfect way to get the pop for it without it looking like the Copeland character is endorsing this sort of thing. This was also part 1 to this, because part 2 we got angry FTR in their response. But poor Stokely, he properly jumped. But yeah, there's not a lot to say here. This is more setting up the Toronto match for the all-out special. Edge and Christian back together again, facing FTR in what would be a dream match, and Collision does lean into that way that FTR responds to what happened here. They do lean into the fact that this is meant to be a dream match. So we'll talk about it then. We'll talk about it when we get to Collision. Let's move on to the opening match, which immediately addressed a concern I had, where I've been really liking the way that the Death Riders had come out of All In, not still always in the main event. Like John Moxley was in a lot of these positions, like the first match on the show. So even though they're talking about getting the momentum back, they're not in the main event. They're not the biggest deal in the promotion. They are the opening match. And the fact that everything that happened at Forbidden Door, I was like, okay, maybe we're going to flick back to that and they will end the show with all of the focus again, with all the people, different things and brawlings with the thing. But that's my WWE brain. I need to turn that off. This promotion is booked way more competently than that. Because we're in a feud, we're not going to get brawls between like the Ops and Death Riders every single week. We're not going to get that. Instead, we get a wrestling match. I know, absurd. Crazy. John Moxley versus Daniel Garcia. Mox not giving up his opening match spot quite yet. Garcia dealt with the numbers well enough, but Daddy Magic ran out just to make sure, like a good wizard father should. Mox made a cheeky claw up Paul Daniels' eye early on so he could return to it later after a match of owie, my eye, pouring from Garcia. Like after everything he did, he would always just make sure to go back to that eye. So it didn't feel like he was only bringing it up when it came to the time for Moxley to then do another eye attack. So I don't know, he's pouring at it the entire match. And I much prefer that to the owie knee things we get quite often. At least with an eye, you can still do all of your manoeuvres. You just have to hold your head afterwards. With the knee, you do your moves anyway, then go ow my knee and you look like a dickhead. It's like a dimwit. Well, don't do the jump onto your knee. In kind, Magic Menard's arrival gave Garcia the beat to sneaky in an ankle talk for his own clothing flow weak spot. DDT on the steps as Mox forced Daniel to beat the count, where we got an amazing little bit of Garcia tensing and pulling himself up with the help of a front row fan. A wee hot fire even got in his sharpshooter, but a quick roll up just snatched the win out of nowhere, very similar to what we saw at Forbidden Door with Zack Sabre Jr. and Nigel McGuinness. Post-match, Yuta told Darby Allin, "Dad says he can't come over to play," as Mox and Garcia argued in the background. Heated up and escalated a tad, all to show Garcia's frustration and angry chair-throwing skills. Then after the break, we got Yuta again, this time taking the boos as Philadelphia's own, who used to work in this arena, and he doesn't care that they're booing him. He doesn't care that they don't like him, because he's got cool friends now. He's a Death Rider. Naming Danielson in his list of folks he's dropped before the lights went out, and in a very fitting, again, this is something that ECW used to do all the time, but it felt very fitting, because it's not Darby Allin. Instead, the big H in the dark. Hook made his return, delivered a right to Wheeler, and had production pull his new shirt as well. And Hook is almost being built as this vigilante who will just come out, help someone, drag a villain away, and then skadooshers. So he's almost being built as a sneaky Batman. He'll just come out and just to stop the baddies from cheating. I'm assuming there's a bigger idea than that, but at the moment, that's the groundwork that they've been laying. MJF and Mark Briscoe really continue to bubble because MJF gets a little bit of a nap following Forbidden Door. A staple quick MJF post-pay-per-view match promo, almost treating it as a thing to faff off. You're not going to get the standard MJF heated stuff here. Before using how the crowd chanted "You deserve it" when he bled to get himself hyped into the usual red-faced, spitting, hateful aggression. Repeated the information that his contract can now only be cashed in a week in advance at the latest for the people who don't watch post-pay-per-view or press jabber. I am those people. So I was like, oh yes, it's good to have this confirmed on the show itself. Because I'd seen it on like social media and things, but good to like on the show, confirmed 100%. Even though Tony Khan said it, now we've got it like in canon, somebody said it. They've weaved it into a storyline. And 100%, the way that AEW works, it doesn't really fit how the Money in the Bank style thing works in WWE. WWE is a lot about those moments. And really the Money in the Bank worked better even outside the current era because that past era was very shallowly written. Not much depth to it at all. Really relying on moments. And that's what Money in the Bank delivers on. Like, it delivers on a really hot moment. So it still does fit the modern era, but it fit the previous era even better. But it doesn't fit AEW, and that's my main thing. It is a thing you can look, if someone just comes out and like, oh my god, I'm about to see the title change hands. But AEW is about the competition, so it doesn't make sense. It's not about the drama. Obviously there's drama stuff within it, but it's not, that's not the main focus because the wrestling is always the main focus. And when they lost kind of their little wobble back in 2023, it was when they were leaning a little bit away from the wrestling being the core main focus. It wasn't even like a full detachment or anything. It was just like enough to start irking. But now it feels like it's immediately the main focus. I just talked about like Moxley Garcia getting a match. The contract being able to be cashed in at any point doesn't fit the overall feeling and style and vibe of AEW. AEW isn't about those flash moments. It's about building way more depth than that. Later in the show, Mark Briscoe got a promo with his new baby, amazing, ultra baby face. Hilarious seeing his style of jabber whilst he was holding a wee tiny human. Also, if you know anything about Mark Briscoe, what do you mean another one? You've already got enough. He then did pass the child off camera to get properly animated and speak to MJF. But just seeing his promo style whilst he was holding a newborn baby was a brilliant image. Then we move on to Megan Bain and Penelope Ford versus Chris Statlander and Harley Cameron. Each of Harley and Penelope having strong people to tag in / get beaten up by as they teased big versus big. Lovely throw into a cutter as Bain lifted Ford at Statlander. Their work together is getting so good, like the double moonsault soon after missed but looked so beautiful and in sync. All four of them were so on point. A great tag match that now showed each of them learning from their recent matches and countering previously effective counters. Like no reverse Rana for Ford, instead submitted by those Statlander thighs, just like last week, no comment. After the bell, Willow on out to stop Statlander, laying down a post-match beating on the baddies and taking a little step closer to whatever their reunion thing kind of is, but it's also whatever the Mox thing is bubbling as well. And she's not the only person that Mox has been whispering to. Hey, Daddy Mox is finding, he's expanding the family. Daddy Mox is finding new people. And a little segment that I loved, Mercedes Moné. I just love that because I am just conditioned to see this and expect an interference, expect somebody coming out, expect the titles that are on the table's only there for someone to go through it, right? And like, I'm just conditioned to see that. So what's really nice is just to have a segment like this where a champion celebrates and the time is given to her because she's a champion. But But then she just goes. Like, she has a celebration, nobody comes out. And I love that happens. Renee announced her out for an in-ring interview with black and yellow party time balloons and all 9 of Renee's title belt collection out on display. What's next? Ultimo Dragon had 10 titles, and I'm going to smash that record. She doesn't care about Alex Windsor. Sure, just mentioning the Lawrence Lasser's name got her jabbering uninterrupted, but she doesn't care. She's not affected by it. Ragging on Will Ospreay and promising to put her in the hospital next to him if she steps to her. It's almost another segment that feels like a love letter to wrestling again, like bringing up the Ultimo Dragon thing in the way that Renee talks about it is this legendary thing that she's now trying to surpass as the modern day greatest. In WWE, it's more like you should pay respect to the past that has laid the road for you, vibe to the legends. Whilst this is an actual love letter to the thing, so you get more of an emotional response to it rather than just saying this guy was great. It's like they make you feel it, that you feel why this thing is a big deal. Speaking about big deals, all-star 8-man tag Hechicero, Josh Alexander, Konosuke Takeshita, and Kazuchika Okada versus Jet Speed and Brodido. That was my third take of saying Takeshita, and for some reason in that flow can't say it. On his own, absolutely fine. But in a flow of names, damn it, we're doing all these 8-man star tags, so I'm going to have to learn to get better. Or, this becomes a running gag, and you know what? I can't be asked to do it again. I've got nothing to get through. Wardlow on out next to Don Callis as the man introduced the family, once again with impeccable Spanish for Hechicero. This match was so much fun. The energy for the second half was just incredibly entertaining. New tag champions Brodido welcomed with plenty of Philly love. Huge standing reaction to Hechicero and Bandido's wee little sequence teasing their Ring of Honor World Championship match on Friday. I'll quickly include that and Athena versus Shiokawa before I wah-wah about Collision. And Paul Walter Hausen. Let's not skip over that. We know of Takeshita pulling Bailey out the way of a corner charging Okada so he could hit his own rebound strike on the Canadian mullet. No major tiff or shoving moment to make displeasure clear in a match-stopping moment. More a wee tiny note that made the crowd buzz in a hum of excitement. Just a wee reminder mid-match, we are going there. All the lads to the outside, Takeshita dove onto all of them. Then Alexander stopped his fellow Canadian and cradled him up to steal a sudden win. This was a good week for Josh Alexander. And another note for AEW. Yes, they're having all these multi-person matches, but just tracking who's winning and who's doing well at them, you can just see just elevations and people getting behind these kind of wrestlers. It really does. It really does work so well. Speaking of working well, Hangman Page, the AEW champion, out. AEW's proper role model hero wished Ospreay a speedy recovery and teased giving him a title shot when he hopefully returns. Ragged on MJF for a tad before Don Callis to a happy reception as always. He wants the championship back in the Don Callis family. Rocky Romero, Lance Archer, Josh Alexander and Hechicero out to the potential chaps to jump on the opportunity. Every single one of them. No, but for a reason. They're doing something here, let it cook. There's just too many members of the Don Callis family. Jet Speed on out to help after the match from just the last segment. A baton handed to Rocky when "Are you ready for this?" plays over the speakers. Kenny Omega fired up and using the baton himself before a buckshot V-trigger finisher of 5 years prior. Of my second reaction, oh god, that team was 5 years ago. AEW's been around for 6 years almost, and I was there watching the build for it, watching New Japan since the 2014 and seeing it all naturally build up to AEW. Well, I think that AEW's now got enough of a history to be referencing something that happened half a decade ago. It just feels why they were already at this point. Ricochet and the GOA versus the Ops. Like, man, Hobbs versus Ricochet is a glorious mismatch. I need to see it. A big old meat chant when he struck blows with the opposition's big lad. Joe able to pretty much just chill as Hobbs and Shibata ran the show before it was time to tag in and beat up a bold dickhead. Ricochet with a chance of a fight back, but MVP's Kane made sure that wasn't going to happen. The lad all alone amongst all three trios champions, and it didn't go well for him. Hurt Syndicate then on afterwards to brawl with the GOA to the back. With the Hurt Syndicate stuff kind of going exactly where he could be going, and they're not really featured strong enough to really know how the reception was. But there was a pretty loud "We Hurt People" chant. Like that is so over. We've not seen them like in a match setting yet to see how that reaction goes. But I'm sure it won't be long before we're seeing them in this arena. Which takes me to the main event, Falls Count Anywhere. Talking about love letters to ECW. Darby Allin versus Claudio Castagnoli. Darby Allin in a Falls Count Anywhere match in the former ECW arena. You know how this went. You know where this went. They had a full ECW main event. Amazing jump from Darby that I really should have seen coming. Claudio with the patented Death Rider walk outside, only for the Mountain Boy to dive off a container. An outside brawl that just immediately had Darby thrown onto a collection of spare chairs. The scenario thought out as like a mini outside viewing area with a TV and all that Riccoboni had the exact 55 inches measurement for. Because of course, Darby Allin was slammed onto that thing. It was not a pre-cut Samsung. It didn't end cut in half. All the staging and production used as weapons. The cage wall entrance, the building's beams. Then we got to the ring in a realisation of, oh yeah, wrestling. And the biggest ECW callback of the match, where Claudio launched poor wee Darby out of the ring onto the announce desk a la Spike Dudley. No collapsing announce desk stuff. Darby Allin like bounced bouncing off the thing. All it was missing was the "oh my god!" No commentary at all afterwards, as the ambiance and replays carried the main event. Oh, and Taz's occasional "are we on?" If anything, the technical difficulties made it feel even more ECW. Really helped you feel those Darby Allin chants as the arena got behind their wee blonde relentless boy. Chairs and tables galore for the chaps to swing and crash through. Gut wrench suplex crashed Darby onto a pile of chairs. A Beal that launched but didn't break the corner prop table, but the Razor's Edge powerbomb certainly did. Darby refused to die. A burst of adrenaline energy and eventually 2 coffin drops snatched the win. When not to go, Gave Kid jumped in a hoodie after the bell. Just like being back at school. Joining in the post-match beating that ended in a Scooby-Doo escape and chase. Mox angry in the ring as Allen's music played us off air. As soon as I finished that show, it just felt like I'd watched one of the best love letters to ECW. Because it's really weird when you go back and watch the one night stand stuff that WWE put on. It's almost like it was a show that they knew an audience was there for, therefore they did it. It wasn't necessarily a love letter. And in loads of people on the show really not respecting what ECW had done. This was like a genuine love letter from people who've grown up watching ECW, been huge fans of what they put out there, the way that it's influenced the entire industry. And he just left us a show feeling like it's one of the best genuinely put together love letters to really just feel what it was like to be in that place at that time. The arena itself has massively changed. Cameras as well, like we're talking back in the day of like flickery VHS videos with not the best sound or anything. And that really fit that grimy feel for that warehouse and the level of violence they were putting on as well. Even like the more technical wrestling stuff or the quicker luchador things that they were put on, it all fit that the way it was filmed and the vibe of the building and everything. But the building's changed a lot and cameras have changed a lot. Lighting is a full production of television coming in as well. ECW never had what the amount of money that AEW did, but the fact that they were able just to add that level of production, like they had these screens up on the beams as well, just to break up the darkness, to add some colour there. I thought the setting up for it was really well done. Much prefer what they did here compared to what WWE did with their NXT show. That was a very standard setup, a setup that didn't really feel that different to how they'd done other NXT on the road stuff. I said it before, but what AEW are doing here is what I wanted them to do from the get-go. Just run all these unique little locations. But it's the fact they're not just running them. They're not just doing their show in the arena. It's that love letter side that comes with it as well. But it just really just fit that vibe. This genuinely did come from a good place. This really was a love letter to ECW. But it wasn't like a show-breaking thing if you didn't know what ECW was. AEW just continues to be on fire right now. Right, speaking of being on fire... Let's jump on over to Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor, aired Friday night. So I had a very interesting Saturday morning watching this before the football. I feel like, okay, I've got an interesting morning. Because I've got to wake up and watch a Paul Walter Hauser match where I did take a photo of it and just send it to my brother. And being like, well, I'm having an interesting morning. So anyway, let's jump on over to Friday night and a Fight Without Honor. But I don't know why I'm choosing this one for the sound clip. I could have done any of the other 2 matches, the main one to actually talk about, but start it. Let's do the Paul Walter Hauser clip. So Paul Walter Hauser versus QT Marshall. Start with that, then Bandido Hechicero and Athena Mina Shirakawa for the main event. I don't want to talk about the entire show because I'm not covering Ring of Honor, but felt like these 3 were worth talking about. So anyway, jump on over.
And this time, willing to give up his own body. This time, willing to do whatever it takes to end it. It's QT Marshall. Diamond. QT Marshall has pinned people with just a cutter. This is over. Cover 2, 3.
The Progress Proteus champion and Golden Globe and Emmy Award winner Paul Walter Hauser bleeding in the middle of a Ring of Honor ring. Of all the people on this show to possibly don the crimson, it was the actor celebrity, I guess, when in an ECW warehouse. As I've set up previously, Hook came out to even the odds and just dragged Aaron Solo out and away. I wasn't expecting to be watching a Golden Globe winner taking ladder bumps, sentoning through a table, bleeding, taking a powerbomb onto thumbtacks and a cutter through a table covered in glass shards. That said, kinda sweet seeing the guy living out a dream as the crowd in the former ECW arena gave him applause afterwards chanting "You're a wrestler." And it's all up for free on YouTube. I mean, I'm not sure it's monetized, but it is there. It is there. He did all of that stuff. It is all there just for free on YouTube because of some technical issues with the broadcasting of the show. Tony Khan just went, sod it, we're not going to risk a selection of the audience not being able to watch it. We'll just give it for free for everybody. So, you know what? Kudos there, kudos. I'm not going to hang about, talk about it. It was just like, that was a very unique experience to have on a Saturday morning morning. Then we jump to the Ring of Honor World Championship, Bandido versus Hechicero. Just to paint a picture of how good this match was. During the mid-match submission flow, there was a guy in the front row so invested that he was practically leaning over the barricade. I'm pretty certain he was drunk as hell, but, you know, when you really want to make feel like an ECW show, oh, those front row people, they've got to be drunk as hell. A suplex with them both stood up on the barricade looks so awesome in this setting. Something about the smaller crowd and arena really elevates shit like that. Amazing looking apron code red tease to bomb to the outside, countered by Hechicero into spinning Bandido up like a helicopter with enough height and rotation that the champion landed on the Magic Fireman. The pace of the ending was something really special too. I know Bandido's title defenses have been receiving a lot of buzz and praise, but this was the first one I've actually watched. It's like, yeah, I've not watched the Kesha one. Apologies. It's like, hey, I was covering WWE at the time. I was struggling to fit it in a Collision, never mind Ring of Honor. Now I've got all the time in the world, but I can fit in this shit. Straps down, serious boy. Really impressive sequence with the 21 plex blocked and held with the man on his back, but he rolled out and lifted Hechicero the same, in kind of like a vertebraker position, only for the Pyro Wizard to sit up on the champion's shoulders and roll through into a pin. Like, I've described it a little bit clunky, but it was so smooth. Really impressive. It looks so damn good and really innovative. 21 plex blocked again, but the second time Bandido locked in a straight jacket as he rolled back and deadlifted the lad up into a suplex pin for the win. But yeah, everything I'm hearing about Bandido in his Ring of Honor title defenses and the stuff he's doing with Brady King as well, he's having an on-fire year. And the main event, the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, Athena versus Mina Shirakawa. 993 days for Athena, defended to reach 1,000 as the forever Ring of Honor Women's Champion. And Billy brought out the Blue Meanie to join the Minions in training. Good laugh watching Mina starting to dance with him, and boo as Arena told him off, like, that's your minute, Minion Meanie, to the back with you. But also, this is one of the things where if you're a modern day fan and you haven't really watched stuff from the 90s, what's your reaction to this? Who's this blue fecker? What's going on here? Athena's left knee worked on and turned owie. I just love the way she takes her spike bumps too, like, always looks so awesome. Mina called for the glamorous driver, which was the drive for her closing flow as both women targeted each other's weak spot. Athena's knee and Shirakawa's recently healed broken hand. Don't think I've seen an electric chair into a spin-out flapjack before. And after taking it, Athena grabbed her owie knee. Going for the glamorous driver didn't come off again. Straight jacket into gut-wrenching up into an oof-looking powerbomb. Hobbled up with the knee, but flew with the always cool as hell O-face for the Athena win and the 1,000. We get to see a point where Athena is such a draw that she's main eventing these shows too. They got two really strong champions in Ring of Honor right now. They didn't need to use Paul Walter Hauser as like, we need to get a celebrity on the card to do this. He's like, no, he's just doing that something for like that's not a draw at all almost. Like a non-factor. He's just doing something for the fun of it. And then these two champions are so strong that it's just, you're guaranteed two really strong main events. But yeah, I'm generally very happy that I watched that Ring of Honor show. Both championship matches were amazing, and I remember that Paul Walter Hauser match. Out of everything he did in that match, the bit that sticks out the most is the first dive that he did off the apron, like right near the beginning. In terms of like hands up, go forward to help guide him, help go forward, do the front roll, yay! It's just like the least athletic guy you've ever seen, and the crowd absolutely loved it. They ate that right up. Anyway, let's jump on over to Collision, and as we keep doing these shows in order, what's going on with Daniel Garcia and Papa John Moxley?
Standoff spike, pile driver. All right, 1, 2, it's over.
Yes, we started the show with Daniel Garcia versus Blake Christian. I want to keep calling him Blake Christiansen like he's a Danish footballer. It happens every time I have to delete the son. I don't know why. I have no idea why I want to call him that. Mox and Powell's out to whisper supportive sweet nothings into Danny's ear right at the bell. Also, great little laugh with Blake dragging the lad around ringside by the head and getting a tiny human to give Danny a little slap. Danny knows all the kids' offense, what a heel. I'll pretend that this was the first building block which led to Garcia's open hand slap to Christian later in the match. Garcia choked the man out before a big old spike pile driver for the win, and afterwards Schiavone came on out. Hey, what did Mox tell you? What did Mox whisper to you? Like, brush it off, never mind that. Mox, you've got what I want, the stature, the accolades. Asking for a match on Dynamite, when Philly's own Wheeler Yuta out for more love, and he accepted, but with a dig and to a chorus of shut the fuck up. And as soon as they had these two out, I'm remembering the formation of the Blackpool Combat Club, like way back when there was that little choosing story between Yuta and Garcia, that I wonder if they're going to bring it up again, because I only just remember it. I don't really remember any of the details. So if they want to lean on something where like, oh, this is what happened when the Blackpool Combat Club was forming, and they went with Wheeler instead. I don't remember any of those fine details, and I'm making that clear. I remember the bare structure. I remember the like surface level things. Like, oh yeah, there was a thing, wasn't there? That's about I remember. So if you want me to remember any details, I'm gonna need those pricks on social media who just like, be like, oh, remember when this thing happened 3 years ago? I'm gonna need that because I don't remember. Kyle Fletcher and Josh Alexander versus Kyle O'Reilly and Tomohiro Ishii. The conglomeration in a wee interview backstage with Lexi Nair beforehand, where Kyle called out the bald manager, calling him Dong Phallus, like, penis. During the match, I hate every Kyle that's not me, O'Reilly shouted to the crowd as he flowed with Fletcher. The Aussie Kyle somehow got caught during that, and it was near his left eye and bled with a little bit of face blood. Ishii got a tad to dance on his lonesome against 2. Fletcher's inside-out bump off the wrestling potatoes pounce was so good. Clapping applause on the crowd after those two had their charging reversal spree, ending in a running Tom lifted up into a driver. American Kyle and Big Tom did hit the high and low strike and sweep on Alexander, but Aussie Kyle broke it up. O'Reilly jumped off the apron after, somehow had his leg so perfectly through the gap in the corner chair. Don't know how he did that. One big Canadian kick to a Japanese dick let Josh Alexander kill poor Ishii with a straight jacket pile driver. That thing looked awesome. The driver, not the dick kick. And that makes 2 pin victories for Tall Joshua this week. Good for him. Good for him. And here I've just put all of the backstage bits just into one big thing. This is the thing with the collision. They have a lot of wrestling, but also have a lot of backstage character work bits as well. So I don't know if this would be a routine thing, but maybe it's in the middle of these reviews I'll just go, okay, backstage bits. These didn't happen one after the other. That would be absurd. But I'm just going to bash through all of them. These character notes that you kind of need to know going forward, but I'm not going to keep stopping in between matches to address one bit then move on. Let's just do all of them here. Jamie Hayter and Tekla had a tear-apart backstage brawl, reminding us what took out Hayter in the storyline in the first place. A bloody-eyed Kip Sabian placed the blame for their Forbidden Door loss on the Lucha Dinosaur, making it clear it wasn't him who made the call to bring the fella in. Mark Briscoe with Lexi Nair mediating between him and Don Callis. Don Callis, you peculiar-looking fellow. Briscoe asked for a TNT Championship match, but got hit with a, we're a little busy, but Don did give him one of his boys for a prove yourself match. Another Lexi Nair later, outside with Don, Kyle and Alexander to hype the all-star 8-man tag on Dynamite, setting up Tall Joshua as the guy brought into the Don Callis Championship to put down Kenny Omega. Skyflight with a 2-camera bit. Are we sure they're not heels? Are we certain? Corning their win streak, the Altitude Era. Are we sure? We're not meant to be booing these men. Are we sure? Layla's foul mouth is going to get over though. I can feel it in my bones. It's the type of goofy thing this is going to get over. The rest of women's division getting increasingly weird in the best way. Yes, it'll fine. It'll work. Gabe Kidd in a pre-recorded bit relating his time in a psychiatric hospital to having no fear regarding taking out Darby. Straight into a Darby Allin skate video. Hey yo, what's up? It's Darby Allin. Rad. Cool. Advertising a fundraiser to build a skate park in Georgia. Oh, do I feel bad about taking the piss out of him now? Do I feel bad? Speaking of rad, which I love the transition if you know what the end of this match was. Jay Lethal versus Hologram. A great match for handsprings. A fast and honourable bout until an airplane had the Hollow Man land on his face. Liked how Lethal's dive garnered applause, but then Hologram just absolutely flew through those ropes. It's hooray, he's done a dive. Or like where John Moxley's dive. John Moxley's not going to get hurt on those dives. Hologram, he didn't give a shit. He's going to lawn dart himself. Lethal injection caught into a backstabber. Portal bomb, which is have them up on your shoulders and spin them out into a sit-down bomb for the win. After the match, Hologram's music glitched, but I love the silly wrestling logic of it being actually Hologram's electronics being hacked. I love this. Access granted. And we got a flicker of a Hologram clone luchador under dark red lighting. Back to the ring and Holo's going, me Ed, it's utter bollocks. And I'm all here for it. I'm all here for this. I watched Lucha Underground where people got murdered and things. An electronic Hollow Man getting hijacked and maybe turned evil and he's glitching. It's yes, I'm all here for this. Hey, I did watch Heads of State this week. Maybe I'm just in the mood for dumb. Maybe that's just the mood I'm in. Alex Windsor versus Ashley Vox. A quick little AEW style jobber match to show off the Norwich lass. Windsor for the submission win after she hit her. Windsor! Shivani back to the ring. Congratulations for the win, girl. I'd be ripped apart if I phrased the sentence like that. Got into starting interviews congratulations for getting the win, girl. That's not. I couldn't get away with saying that. Monet is one pissed off little woman. Alex bringing up how she made Mercedes tap in Glasgow, using the Osprey stuff to get amped up. Put your money where your mouth is in a TBS title challenge. And it was announced that it is going to happen. They're just going to do the match. I know there's going to be shenanigans and things on Dynamite, but just immediately, we've had 2 separate builds here where they didn't see each other either here. Separate build on 2 different shows, and then they're just going to do the match. That's surprisingly quick and swift. FDR versus JD Drake and Adam Priest, and quite possibly the greatest return from an ad break. Just a huge pop from the building. First look, Drake and Priest. Now they look like what ECW wrestlers actually look like. 100% could see them beloved in an opening tag match after making a dick joke. 100%. The 2-300 absolutely popped for a big man Drake actually hitting his moonsault. This is where they came back from the ad break to a huge reaction, and then immediately into the closing flow. Dax launched the smaller lad into the ring post and retched at the arm for a submission and win. After the match, shut the fuck up before they'd even said a word. Cash had a few words to shout for Adam Copeland amongst a chorus of boos. This isn't about you, it's about FTR and their legacy, promising to end it in Toronto. Dax, a bit more calm. This should have been a dream match, and you ruined it. This match is a charity exhibition for two men who made their name with 3 letters, TLC, 20 years ago. Now you face two men who made their names with 3 letters, FTR, today, elevating things a tad into the Toronto match, which is a full month away, so I don't know what I don't know what else the little bubbles are going to be doing. The two goaded front row crowd members afterwards. The kid from earlier, obviously the best. Like, the boy did a throat slit to Cash. It's like, oh my god, he's a killer. Oh shit, don't mess with this kid. Before asking Dax for a high five, like, oh, he's back to a kid. Yep, back to, you know what to do here, Dax. Yep, goes for the high five and just walks away from him. It's like, yep, top heel. From top heel to tall heel, Big Bill versus Juice Robinson. The big boy bout we've been big boy building to. They showed us a few tweets during the headlock start of this. Don't get too excited, they were all like the feed on the WWE 2KGM mode. Gunn countered the Bounty Hunter's distraction, but then walked right into the spinning side slam. I honestly thought I was going to dig this match. I did not. It's one of those matches where I watched it, I was like, oh, I'm not really going to remember any of this. It was a match that was on in front of me, and out of the whole week, this was like the match that I wasn't invested in. I was like, oh, I thought I'd dig this. I've kind of dug the build enough, and then the actual match happens, and I'm like, it's fine. It's okay. It's big two people doing their big boy match. And I just move on. Like, okay, cool. Then the main event, Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa and Queen Aminata versus Billie Starkz, Julia Hart and Sky Blue. These all-star tags have just been perfect for the evolution of the current feel of AEW's telly shows. Also great to see the women in the main event following such a strong streak with a division that feels so alive following All In. The Mina love alive from the Philly pervs. I mean Philly fans, go Eagles, fly, go Eagles fly and all that. Look at the response for the curvaceous and buxom Shirakawa called Nigel on commentary. No surprise that Aminata's chocolate kisses were also over. Like, you're not helping yourselves here, Philly. You're not helping yourselves here. And they lent into it, going to ad break with all 3 goodies shaking their boobs, causing Shivani to start the ad break in glee with, I just love wrestling. It's just like, okay. Okay. Like, and I wrote that Philly pervs line right at the start when they were cheering for Mina. I didn't know what was to come. I didn't know that Philly were not going to help themselves 1 ounce. 1 ounce here. Yeah, fly, you pervs. Fly. After the break, Storm and Fire. The ref distracted for the pin on Blue, though, so into a flow with all 6 women instead, in which Julia Hart got her nose busted for our second dose of face blood, right before she was set to dance with Shirakawa as well. Loved the chaos of a leg submission rolling to change who was talking, whilst chaos was reigning at ringside with Storm and Aminata fighting the other two. Mina with the win after the glamorous driver. Nice to see her actually hit that after just struggling to hit it over and over on the Ring of Honor match. A wee happy beat before Tekla jumped for the post-match clobber. The Jamie Hayter attack earlier in the show was so that we didn't question the Triangle of Madness just beating all 3 goodies up and going off air with them chatting shit in dominance. No, just your standard expected heels do the jumpy stuff, so you're going to get a charging out good guy for the final pop of the show. None of that. They showed you beating up Jamie Hayter, or at least some woman in a big bright orange ginger head wig. Don't remember seeing Jamie Hayter's face. I mean, do I start this conspiracy? She wasn't actually there. Just a random person in a wig. Anyway, you might have been expecting the pop because you know wrestling segment rhythms, or at least I've been conditioned to expect certain rhythms that this product is going to slowly break out of me, which is good. Yeah, no attack, Trial of Madness end. Everybody's like, yeah, we own this place now. Yeah, baddies, and we go off air. Absolutely fine with that. Really enjoyed this first week. As I said, when this match ended and the Tony Giovanni's winning over the card for Dynamite and it finishes, like, I was like, yeah, cool, yeah, I'm down for this. I'm excited for this. Because I did start Sunday thinking, I've watched enough wrestling. Because obviously Forbidden Door was last Sunday, so within like a week's span, it feels like it's been a lot of this product. Like, technically within a week's span, I've watched 4 like AEW adjacent show things. And when I woke up this morning, I didn't want to watch more wrestling, I'll be honest. It was a Sunday. I wanted to like go outside. It's the UK, so it was set to rain, and I was like, I could get out before it rains. But I can't. I've got to get to a Collision before the Forest match later. So yeah, anyway, I did though finish Collision, and as soon as I finished it, I was like, yes, I'm excited for Dynamite. It's somehow going to be like back in. So, sign of a good show. I didn't enter it with a mood for wrestling, and when I left it, I wanted more wrestling. So you've refreshed me. Well done, Tony. Thank you, Tony. But anyway, that is the end of this week's review, where I just stand here talking to you all about AEW wrestling. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. If this is the vibe we're going to be getting for the next little while, whilst we're in this arena, then yeah, I'm all for it. If anything, I'll be a little bit disappointed if we tune into AEW one week and it is an arena. It's like, this is like a big Grand Slam show. Like, keep running places like this. Try and find the most unique ones you can. Like, obviously, you're not going to nail that every week, but I really like the feel of them doing these smaller shows. And it feels like, yes, they can do less than 1,000 one here, then you could easily just jump to a 2,000 one, and it seems the vibe is still right on top of it. And the quality that's on show here, like, it just really, really works. So anyway, I'll be back this time next week to talk about AEW Dynamite and Collision. Finally a show where I only get to talk about 2 shows. No more of this 3-show shit. Finally get a break from it. So anyway, thank you for listening, liking, engaging in any form, any manner. Always appreciated, never taken for granted. I'll be back this time next week to talk about Dynamite and Collision. So we can talk about this AEW thing that we all love together. I will think of an ending eventually. At the moment, I'm just saying shit. I'll think of one eventually. With that, I bid you adieu. Adios.